Pastor Katie here. In this video, I am reading part of our Mystery Museum Whodunnit. So this is part 1 of chapter 2. By Jehovah, you've got it. The kids have been gathered by their leaders in the portrait gallery of the Mystery Museum for the second day of their adventure there. The curator was ready to greet them all. Welcome back to the Mystery Museum. Remember that I am the curator of this museum, in charge of all its amazing exhibits. Shirky Holmes also stepped forward, and I am world-renowned detective, Shirky Holmes, here to help you solve the case of the missing portrait. Yesterday, we learned about Queen Esther and her courage. She had to save her people because others treated them poorly just because they were different. With God's help, her courage was enough to save the people. She certainly deserves to have her portrait found. But I was only able to find one clue, an accessibility plan pamphlet with the words, "Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy," written in pen. Shirky, the curator interrupted, isn't this just like the case of the elephant's underpants that you solved in Mumbai last year? The elephant's underpants, Shirky pondered for a moment. Oh yes, that was a great case. But this one is a bit different. Suddenly, Shirky noticed a hand sticking up that belonged to one of the kids in the last row. Shirky addressed the kid. I think one of our young detectives has something to add. The kid stood up and said, Mrs. Detective, I think there's another clue. Another clue? Shirky exclaimed. Well, let's hear it. Actually, we need to get to Miss Purple's performance, the curator reminded Shirky. Nonsense. There's always time for another clue, Shirky continued. Go ahead, young detective. The kid piped up. Yesterday, my friends and I discovered a painting that we think has to do with Esther. The kids and a couple of her friends led Shirky to the other side of the gallery, to the special new wheelchair entrance to the museum. She continued, We saw this painting here when we were leaving the museum yesterday. I think you might have missed it because you never left the museum last night. By Jehovah, you've got it, Shirky exclaimed. The not leaving the museum last night part, at least. This painting, on the other hand, seems pretty normal to me. Shirky gestured to the painting, which featured what looked like a royally dressed woman with a lumberjack's hat and an axe. The plaque of the painting read, Treester. Shirky continued to stare at the painting, as if she was just about to realize something. Suddenly, the curator grabbed her arm and pulled her back toward the portraits and the great curtain while saying, We are overdue for today's reenactment. The curtain was thrown aside and Miss Purple appeared in front of the 4 portraits and the open spot where Esther's had been. Miss Purple introduced herself as the curtain fell back in front of the wall of portraits. Hello, I am named Mary, but I come from a place called Magdala, so my friends call me Mary Magdalene. And I am one of the greatest queens in history, with many treasures and servants. No, the curator had to interrupt. Mary Magdalene wasn't a queen. Queen Esther was yesterday. Today, you are Mary, one of the closest followers of Jesus. Yes, of course, Miss Purple continued. I, Mary Magdalene, closely follow Jesus wherever he would go. If Jesus went up the stairs, I went up the stairs. If Jesus went through a door, I went through the door. If he climbed a tree, I climbed that tree. If he jumped into a river. No! The curator was forced to interrupt again. I didn't mean that she literally followed Jesus everywhere he went. Being a follower of Jesus means loving Jesus and sharing that love, just like he asked us to do. Oh yes, said Miss Purple. Let me see here. She pulled a note card out of her pocket and continued. Of course that's what I did. I, Mary Magdalene, loved Jesus so much because he loved me so much. He saved my life when I was in a very, very bad place. And then he taught me so many amazing things along with the disciples. When Jesus died on the cross, I was terrified, but I refused to leave his side because I knew that Jesus always did everything for a reason. I would visit his tomb, and 3 days after he had died, I saw him. Jesus came back to life, and he spoke to me, Jesus sent me out to tell the whole world what had happened. That's right, the curator offered. Mary's heart was so full of love that it was bursting, and she couldn't wait to spread the news of Jesus' resurrection. And now, I must say goodbye for today. I'm off to my dressing room. And with these words, Miss Purple threw the curtain aside and rushed off into the museum. The curtain swung wide enough to reveal another blank spot on the portrait wall. Another missing portrait, Shirky exclaimed as she jumped up to the front. The portrait of Mary Magdalene is gone. That's 2 missing portraits. This case is growing by the minute. I must gather more clues. Before anyone could say another word, Shirky ran off into the recesses of the museum. The curator stepped forward and addressed the kids. Well, I guess we'll be searching for clues again today, but we'll also be exploring my fabulous museum. I believe that today you'll be spending some time in the Hall of Inventions. That is one of my favorites. You're sure to have fun. The end of part 1.